I'd like to welcome everybody to the Kenosha Women's Network Luncheon. This is a beautiful turnout. My name is Linda Ruffalo. I'm the Vice President of the Kenosha Women's Network, and we're thrilled to have you here. Hope you all consider coming back. Take a look at the brochures that we handed out to become a member. And I'd also like to start by thanking our guest, Helen Schumacher, for being here, our guest speaker. I had the pleasure of meeting Helen at the firefighters fundraiser. Paula and Rick Gallo introduced me to her. And right away, I knew this is a special lady. There's something more I need to know about her. So then Paula told me about your history being as an FBI agent. And then you further told me things such as that you were born and raised here. She graduated from, it was Kenosha High School.
St. Joe's.
Oh, St. Joe's. Oh, okay.
Class of 67.
Class of 67. And she graduated from UW. Oh, that's unusual. People don't usually tell me that. She graduated from UW Parkside. She was also the basketball statistician there. And then she went on to the career that she's going to tell us about shortly. So Helen, please take over and let us know about all these things that we're curious about. Thank you.
Nice job, Linda.
I want to start with two caveats here. Number one, much of what I'm referring to is over a quarter, a third, or a half a century old. So keep that in mind. And these are my memories of my experiences, the good, the bad, and the sometimes silly. So after graduating from Parkside in 1971, I taught at Ruther High School before Ruther became Ruther. It was the night school. Kid pulled a knife on me and I thought, yeah, I don't have to take this. So I was watching TV one Sunday night. Many of you are going to have to ask your grandparents about this, but I was watching the FBI show on TV on Sunday night with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.
Oh my.
And they showed the laboratory, and I have a science background. So I thought, okay, so I went down to the KYF. You might have to ask your parents or grandparents about that. And I went up to the second floor and I knocked on the door. The door opened this much, and this man came out and he says, "What do you want?" I said, "I want to join the FBI." He said, "I'm on the phone with Washington. Sit down on that bench and I'll be out." I said, "Okay," so I sat there. I just knew he was talking to J. Edgar Hoover. I knew it. Well, 2 hours later, he comes out with his coat and his briefcase, and he goes, "Oh, I forgot about you."
Oh my God.
Should have been a clue, but no, I decided to go with it. So I end up joining the FBI, and on Valentine's Day, 1972, I joined the FBI out in Washington, D.C. I was a telephone operator, radio dispatcher, because Hoover was still alive, and women were not agents then. Well, remember, Valentine's Day, 1972, May 2nd, 1972, Hoover dies. I take credit for that. Because he said that Schumacher woman is going to be trouble. I am out of here. And then Watergate happened on my birthday in 1972. And in June or July, mid-year 1972, L. Patrick Gray, who was the acting director, brought women in as FBI agents. Joanne Pierce, a former nun, and Suzanne Raleigh, a former Marine. So we started out with some pretty interesting women. So in November of 1975, 50 years ago as we speak, I entered the FBI Academy down in Quantico. Okay, brought some show and tell for you guys. It still fits. A little snug, but it's still okay. So I was down there during November, December, January, and February. Wonderful months in the DC area. Just wonderful weather. I sort of had I had an advantage in that I was a known commodity to many of the instructors because I was already in the Bureau. So I didn't necessarily have as difficult time adjusting, but I'll tell you a couple of stories. One of the things we had to learn to do was box. Yeah, and so there was a guy in my class who was like 6'4" and he had a 42-inch arm reach. Oh my God. So he thought he'd be a little sassy. So I'm boxing with him and he puts his glove on my forehead. I can't reach him. So I kick him in the groin. He drops his arms and I give him an uppercut. And the instructors over in the corner are going, yeah! Also, again, terrible, terrible weather. I consider myself a woefully adequate shot. But the shotgun was my weapon of preference. I felt pretty good with that. But we're out in the skeet field one day, sleeting, awful, wet, cold. And my instructor is one of the top sharpshooters in the FBI. And I'm there and I'm going, 0 for 25. And I looked at him and I said, you must think I'm awful. And he said, I would pick you over most of those other guys because you followed every safety rule. I thought, okay, I can do this. On my qualifying run, had to run, I think it was 1.5 miles in 16.5 minutes. Maybe it was 2 miles, I can't remember. I'm not a distance runner. I'm just not a runner, period. So I had one final chance to qualify. So one of my classmates came up and he said, Helen, he said, I'll pace you. I said, oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. So we go out to the Hoover Road where we would run up and down. And Mr. Gump, the head of the physical training, said, why on earth are you letting him pace you? He's a marathon runner. And I said, because he volunteered. And I made it in 16:08. Thank you very much. One of the things that they gave us, and I can't remember, because the men had a 38 Smith & Wesson 4-inch barrel. And somebody, I think, understood that women are shaped differently than men. What a concept. And so they had a 38-inch, 2.5-inch barrel. It was a little harder to qualify, but you could qualify with it, so that was fine. But carrying it on your hip was a little bit dicey. So some genius, and I use that term loosely, decided, hey, let's give them purses. So they created a purse, straight from Paris.
Wow.
Yeah, it came in brown and black. And inside of it, it had a place for your handcuffs, your credentials, your gun, and 2 bullets. 2 bullets. Yeah. This was the first go-round. The second go-round was this. Again, from Paris, haute couture. And again, they came in 2 colors, black and whatever this color is. Again, had a place for your gun, your creds, your handcuffs, and you could just put your bullets anywhere you wanted. Now, for those women who didn't want to carry one of these lovely purses, they made an insert that fit very nicely in a lovely Coach bag. Again, your gun, 6 bullets, and your handcuffs. Yeah. I wore an upside-down cross-draw shoulder holster, and I was just fine. Graduation comes along. There were 2 women who started the class. My roommate broke her leg, so she had to recycle. So we're standing along the wall, going up to the stage for graduation. I'm wearing a blue suit, white shirt, red and white bow, scarf. Walk up there, and as I walk over the stage, I hear this voice from the audience going, "Ma'am, it's a girl!" go. So I go to Baltimore, my first office, and it was very interesting. I was the first female agent in Baltimore. They didn't know what to do with me. The supervisor of the squad I was assigned to didn't even shake my hand, didn't even say hi. He assigned me to his relief supervisor as my training agent. I learned more from that man, Chuck Flagg, rest his soul, than I could have learned from anybody else. He was marvelous. He made sure I got involved in all sorts of different activities. They wanted me to do surveillance, and I said, what do you want me to wear? And they looked at me like I had two heads. What do you mean, what do you want to wear? I said, a man can be up there in a three-piece suit. That's one look. Takes the vest off. It's a different look. He takes the shirt off, or takes the suit coat off. That's a different look. Takes the tie off, rolls his sleeves up. That's a whole different look. Women aren't like that. We don't dress like that. And it's noticeable. So they're going, oh, okay. So they started to think about that thing. There were 8 women agents that they pulled up to Boston this first time in history to work on a top 10 case. Two people had killed a Massachusetts state trooper. And they wanted us to follow the girlfriend. So they thought, hey, let's bring some women up here, pair them with the men who know the area, and we'll see if we can get them. And we did. I actually sat next to one of the girlfriends on the train and talked to her little boy. So we got close, we got them, and they were captured. In part, thanks to the women who were there. And there was one instance where I had to do an overnight surveillance with an agent. And he was just beside himself. He says, God, don't tell my wife I had to stay in a car with a woman overnight. I leaned into him and I said, John, tell your wife not to worry. So then I go to back to the Washington field office where I had been a support person. And they decide that women need to have vests because the men's vests were kind of awkward and clunky. And so they said, well, so they brought 4 women down, different body types, and I was one of those. Probably the extra large body type. And they took our measurements and they made these vests that had darts in them so that they would... The problem was they were only half the thickness of the men's vest. Yeah, I don't think so. So anytime I had to wear one, I would go into the vault and get an extra one of the men's. I was a duty agent at the field office, which was a 4 to 12 shift, so you kind of covered it when the regular shift was going home. We get a call, go to National Airport and go to this particular airlines and pick up a package from the pilot. So my buddy and I would drive out there and we get there and the pilot hands us a package and we take that package and we take it to the FBI laboratory, turn it in and go, I don't know, we were told to do that. Come to find out it was the Kool-Aid from Jonestown. Oh. Did not know that, but I know it now.
Did you sample it?
No, but I understand that it was great. Then for a year and a half, I was on the protective detail for the director. William H. Webster, rest his soul. He passed away last year at the age of 101, bless his heart. We went through some Secret Service training, which was very interesting. Secret Service has the protection details. They are the pros at it. And it's very interesting because everybody on the protection detail has their own job to do. You do your job. You don't worry about somebody else doing their job or somebody else doing their job. You do your job. And if you see the video of Reagan's assassination attempt, you can see Jerry Parr pushing him into the car, and you can see Tim McCarthy turning towards where the bullets are coming from, trying to make himself as big a target as he can.
Wow.
That was his job, and he got shot. He's still with us. I think he's somewhere down in Illinois. Just a tremendous thing. I did save the director's life one day. Department of Justice was across the street from FBI headquarters, and the director would always go over there to talk to the Attorney General. And one day we were walking back, and the director's kind of a focused guy, and he was thinking about something and focused on something. And we get to Pennsylvania Avenue, and he steps out into traffic, and I grab him by the back of the belt, and I pull him back. And he turns to me and goes, Helen? Helen? I said, it was a green light. Oh, okay. So I did save him. He had a raincoat that had a vest in it, and there was a briefcase that we had to that had a gun in it that you shoot from the trigger. So we had to learn how to shoot that, and it was wonderful. It truly was. Now, I'm getting a sign that I'm kind of going over.
No, you're not going over. I just want to give you a heads up.
How much time do I have left?
A minute.
A minute?
I wish it was an hour.
It was a very different time, and things were very different, and I'd like to think that it's different now. I know it is in the police department. I see how they have progressed over the years because I've been associated with the Police and Fire Commission. But some of these things were very new, and I don't necessarily think of them as being discriminatory so much as I think of them being as being ignorant or uneducated. They didn't know what to do. And I think a lot of us taught them what to do and how to do it and what the difference was. I had 3 personal goals when I was with the FBI. Number 1 was to keep my original credentials, historic in nature. Oh, wow. Okay, this says, I'll get my glasses on. I should have. This says, charted with the duty of investigating violations of the law as imposed upon her by law. Before women came in, it said imposed upon him by law. Then when women came in, it said imposed upon her by law, and then they neutered it. But these are my original credentials. This is what I looked like 50 years ago. And my 10-year, 15-year, and 10, 20, and 25-year service pin.
Wonderful.
Wow.
So, and I'll let you look at them if you want to do it. I wanted to keep my original weapon, which I did, my 2.5-inch, although I did qualify with a newer weapon, the automatic, just before I retired. And then I did not want to be the subject of an internal affairs or a discrimination case. And while I investigated many of those, I was not the subject. So I accomplished all that. It was a great ride. I picked my battles. And I tried to encourage and mentor men and women. Now, we all stand on the shoulders who have come before. We need to acknowledge that, we need to respect that, and we need to preserve that. So once the camera goes off, we could probably go to the bar and I could tell you some other stories.